Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty interesting where, like, fashion meets maybe pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, this whole wellness jewelry era thing, it's definitely catching on.
Exactly. And we're focusing specifically on one product, the BreatheFree Resistance Necklace. You
Mm.
see it marketed a lot for helping people quit smoking and vaping.
Right. So our mission today, using the research you've gathered, is to really figure out, is this thing a genuinely effective tool for quitting based on science?
Or is it maybe just, a really well-marketed mindfulness gadget? We need to kind of separate the actual science from the stress relief claims.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, the mechanism. Before we even get to the quitting claims, what is this necklace, fundamentally, and what's the legit science part?
Well, the basic idea is surprisingly simple. It's essentially like a small metal tube or straw you wear.
Okay.
And the idea is when you feel stressed or get a craving, you breathe out through it. The design itself creates resistance.
Ah, so it physically makes your exhale longer and slower?
Exactly. It forces that extended exhale. And that specific action, well, there's actually solid science behind it.
Right, controlled breathing, extending the exhale, we know that works for stress reduction. That's not controversial.
Not at all. It triggers the body's parasympathetic nervous system, sort of the rest and digest system.
The body's natural brake pedal, basically.
Yeah.
And studies show it helps lower stress hormones like cortisol.
Precisely. So the breathing technique itself, used for relaxation, totally sound. It's a good anxiety management technique in principle.
Okay. And I saw some versions have like scented inserts.
Yeah, they mention scented coils or flavored bits.
Mhm.
But the key thing is they contain zero nicotine, zero chemicals. It's more like aromatherapy or just something to focus on.
So not really a game changer there, more of a minor feature.
Pretty minor, yeah. Not harmful, but not revolutionary. The real question is the leap from this helps me feel calm to this helps me quit a chemical addiction.
And that seems to be where things get tricky. Because you do see a lot of positive user reports, right?
Yeah.
People saying they feel calmer, that it helps manage the immediate urge to smoke or vape.
Oh, absolutely. And that makes sense if they're using it as a focused breathing exercise when they feel stressed or anxious, which, let's face it, quitting involves a lot of stress and anxiety.
Makes sense. So if people feel better, feel calmer, report fewer cravings at that moment, is it actually helping them quit? Psychologically, maybe?
This is where addiction specialists really pump the brakes and where we hit, well, a kind of evidence gap, a big one.
Wait.
Because managing momentary stress is one thing, overcoming a powerful chemical dependency like nicotine addiction is another beast entirely.
So what's missing?
Robust clinical evidence. There are basically zero high-quality studies like randomized controlled trials, the kind used to prove things like nicotine patches or gum actually work.
The standard NRT, nicotine replacement therapy.
Exactly. There's no equivalent evidence showing these necklaces lead to successful long-term quitting. Just anecdotes and stress reduction effects.
And because of that lack of hard clinical quitting data, these can't be sold in, say, a pharmacy or promoted by a doctor as a cessation aid.
Correct. They fall into that wellness or lifestyle category, not regulated medical devices for addiction treatment. The marketing often leans heavily on this idea that it mimics the hand-to-mouth action of smoking.
Ah, yeah, I saw that. But one of our sources had a great analogy for that specific claim.
Which one was that?
It basically said claiming the necklace helps beat chemical addiction because it involves your mouth and breathing is like saying learning the harmonica will help you quit cigarettes.
Huh. That's actually a pretty good way to put it. It highlights the disconnect.
Yeah.
Relieving the anxiety around the physical habit is one thing, but it doesn't really address the underlying physiological withdrawal from nicotine. That's the core issue for most people trying to quit.
Okay, so summing this up, if you're listening and trying to quit or thinking about it, what's the balanced take on this breathe-free necklace?
I think the fairest verdict, based on the evidence, is that it's primarily a mindfulness tool. A potentially helpful one for managing stress, sure, but it's kind of dressed up to look like an addiction treatment.
So it's not snake oil, because the breathing part does have a real calming effect.
Exactly, it does something, but it's definitely not a magic bullet for quitting smoking or vaping on its own.
Which means, critically, it needs to be seen as maybe a supplement to, not a replacement for, the proven stuff.
Absolutely. Things like behavioral therapy, proper NRT like patches or gum or prescription medications, those directly address the chemical dependence and withdrawal.
Right.
So this necklace, it could be a useful extra tool, something to help you cope with stress or anxiety during that really tough quitting process. but thinking it's the whole solution.
That seems overly optimistic based on what we know now.
Uh-huh.
It might set someone up for disappointment if they rely only on this.
Very likely, yes.
Okay, that leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. If the solid evidence mainly points to these necklaces being effective for stress and anxiety management, what does that suggest about the quitting journey itself?
Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it? How much of your personal struggle with quitting is tied up in managing stress and anxiety versus how much is purely the physical nicotine withdrawal?
It's worth considering where you might need the most support. Is it managing the acute stress? Or is it tackling that deep-seated chemical addiction? Think about the difference between a potentially helpful supplement for anxiety and a proven replacement therapy for the addiction itself.
Good point to ponder.
Thanks for diving deep with us.